The council chamber was larger than any building on Earth. Ambassador Marcus Webb walked across the polished floor, his footsteps echoing in the vast space. Above him, 17 massive platforms floated in a circle. Each platform held a representative from one of the oldest civilizations in the galaxy. These were the beings who controlled trade routes, declared wars, decided which species lived or died. Webb had been preparing for this moment for 3 years. He had studied every recording of council sessions. He had memorized the names and species of every representative. He knew their voting patterns, their alliances, their weaknesses. But knowing about power and standing before it were two very different things. The High Arbiter spoke first. Her name was Velshara. Her body was made of living crystal that caught the light and threw rainbow patterns across the chamber. When she spoke, her voice came from everywhere at once. Ambassador Webb of Earth, your species has enjoyed the protection of the Galactic Concordat for 43 cycles. During that time, we have shielded your world from invasion. We have shared our technology. We have welcomed you into galactic society. Now the debt must be repaid. Webb clasped his hands behind his back. He kept his face neutral, showing nothing. Around the circle, other council members watched him. Some looked bored. Others looked hungry, like predators watching prey. The terms were clear, Velshara continued. The Virelian Consortium provided medical technology that saved 6 billion humans from the Cascade Plague. In exchange, Earth agreed to deliver 10 million bioregeneration modules. The deadline is 48 hours from now. A reptilian creature rose from his platform. His scales were dark green, and his eyes were cold. This was Counselor Vex from the Sorix Dominion. Webb had read about him. Vex had voted against helping Earth during the plague. He had wanted to let humanity die and claim Earth's resources afterward. Let us be honest, Vex said. The humans cannot fulfill this debt. Their technology is primitive. They barely understand the specifications we gave them. It would take them 50 years to produce even 1 million modules with their current capabilities. They have 48 hours. Other council members nodded. Some made sounds that might have been agreement or amusement. Webb recognized the trap. This debt had never been about repayment. It had been about control. Save humanity, put them in impossible debt, and then own them forever. The terms also state, Dex continued, that failure to repay results in Earth losing Concordat protection. Without our shields, without our treaties, humanity will face the outer reaches alone. Many species there would be very interested in a defenseless world. Webb saw several council members glance at each other. He knew what that meant. They had already discussed what would happen when Earth failed. They had already divided up the spoils. The Sorix Dominion would probably get the mining rights. Others would claim different pieces, Velshara as crystalline. Body pulsed with colors that Webb had learned meant concern or confusion. Ambassador Webb, perhaps you do not understand the situation. The bioregeneration modules are extremely complex. Your species has only recently achieved basic space travel. This debt cannot be paid. It is mathematically impossible. This was the moment. Webb reached into his jacket slowly. Every weapon sensor in the chamber probably locked onto him, but he moved with deliberate calm. He withdrew a small data crystal and held it up to the light. High Arbiter, Webb said. His voice was steady and clear. Humanity accepts the terms of repayment. We will deliver 10 million bioregeneration modules within the specified time frame. The chamber went completely silent. Even the ambient hum of the floating platforms seemed to pause. Velshara's colors shifted. Rapidly through patterns Webb could not read. Ambassador, you must understand what you are saying. These devices require manufacturing capabilities far beyond your current technology. This is not a question of determination or courage. It is simple fact. I understand perfectly. Webb walked to the scanning platform at the center of the floor and placed the data crystal on it. This contains delivery coordinates, manifests, and verification protocols. In 41 hours, 10 million units will be transferred to the Virelian collection stations across 37 worlds. Dex stood abruptly. His claws scraped against his platform railing. This is deception. What game are you playing, human? No game. just repayment. Webb turned slowly, making eye contact with each council member. He let them see that he was not afraid. He let them see that he knew exactly what he was doing. Humanity always pays its debts, Webb continued. The Vrelians saved 6 billion of my people when we were dying. Every human alive today owes their life to that decision. We do not forget such things. He paused, and something in his tone changed. It became harder, colder. But I think it is important you understand something about my species. We do not just remember kindness. We remember everything. Every lesson you taught us. Every piece of technology you shared. Every treaty we signed. Every assumption you made about our limitations. We have been very good students. Velshara's body flickered through a spectrum of troubled colors. What have you done, Ambassador? Webb smiled slightly. It was not a friendly expression. Exactly what we promised. In 41 hours, you will receive full payment. And then we will all understand each other much better than we do right now. He gave a small bow and turned toward the chamber exit. His footsteps echoed in the silence as he walked across the vast floor. Behind him, he could feel the stares of 17 ancient civilizations, all suddenly uncertain. As the doors closed behind Webb, chaos erupted in the chamber. Vex was shouting something about human arrogance. Others were demanding explanations. Velshara called for order, but her voice carried an edge of worry that had not been there before. In the observation galleries above, representatives from dozens of species began frantically sending messages to their homeworlds. The same report appeared in hundreds of different languages. The humans are confident. Too confident? What do they know that we do not? Webb walked through the corridor outside the chamber. His hands were steady, but his heart was racing. That had been the easy part. He had delivered the message. He had made them doubt. Now came the hard part. Now humanity had to prove that 43 years of secret preparation, hidden facilities, and impossible innovation had not been a waste. They had to show the galaxy that underestimating humans was a mistake. That would not be made twice. Webb reached his shuttle and climbed aboard. As the engines powered up, he sent a single encrypted message back to Earth. Phase 1 complete. They do not believe we can do it. Begin the countdown. On Earth, on Luna, on Mars, and in dozens of secret locations throughout the solar system, facilities that should not exist began moving into action. Warehouses opened. Transport ships powered up. Millions of impossible devices manufactured in secret over 4 decades. Prepared for delivery, the galaxy was about to learn what happened when you gave humans detailed specifications, a generous deadline, and a reason to never be helpless again. Commander Rachel Torres remembered the day the sky opened and the aliens came to save them. She had been in Geneva, coordinating emergency evacuations as the Cascade Plague spread across every continent. The disease was killing humans faster than anyone could count. Scientists said the entire species would be extinct within 6 months. Then the Varelian ships descended through the clouds. They were beautiful and terrifying, each one the size of a city. The Vrelians did not hesitate. They offered their medical technology freely, asking only for payment when humanity was capable of providing it. Torres watched from her hospital bed as alien. Doctors cured the plague in her body. She watched as billions of other humans received the same treatment. She watched as Earth was given a second chance at existence. But she also watched as Earth's leaders signed the debt agreement. 10 million bioregeneration modules delivered when humanity achieved the necessary technology. The specifications were included as a courtesy, so Earth would know what was required. That was 43 years ago. Torres was no longer a coordinator in Geneva. She was now the commander of Earth's most secret military installation buried 3 kilometers beneath New Geneva. Around her, 50 officers sat at control stations monitoring systems that officially did not exist. Status report, Torres said. Colonel David Harrison looked up from his tactical display. His hair had gone gray over the decades of secret work. All manufacturing facilities are at maximum capacity. Luna production centers 1 through 8 are operational. Mars colonies 3 and 5 came online this morning. The asteroid belt facilities are running at 98% efficiency, and the Outer Rim stations. Harrison smiled. It was the smile of someone who had kept a secret for 40 years and was finally ready to reveal it. All 17 are operational and producing ahead of schedule. The Council has no idea they exist. When the Vrelians had provided the specifications for the bioregeneration modules, they had made certain assumptions. They assumed it would take humanity decades just to understand the basic principles. They assumed Earth's primitive technology could never manufacture such complex devices. They assumed wrong. Earth's greatest scientists had studied those specifications like religious texts. They had broken down every component, every molecular assembly, every quantum interaction. They had tested and failed and tested again. And slowly, impossibly, they had learned. But learning was not enough. Understanding the technology did not mean Earth could build it. The manufacturing requirements were far beyond anything humanity possessed. A single bioregeneration module required precision at the atomic level. It required materials that Earth could barely produce. It required assembly techniques that seemed like magic. So Earth's engineers had done something the Concordat never expected. They had redesigned the entire manufacturing process from the ground up. They had found new methods, new materials, new techniques. They had not just learned to build the modules, they had learned to build them better, faster, cheaper than the Vrelians themselves. For 43 years, while the galaxy watched Earth struggle with basic space travel, humanity had been transforming itself into a manufacturing superpower. Every resource had been directed toward a single goal: be ready when the debt came due. Dr. Lisa Park approached Torres with a data tablet. Park had been a young research assistant when the plague hit. Now she led the entire technical division. Current production count is 9.7 million units. The final 300,000 will be completed in 36 hours. We will have excess inventory. Show me the distribution, Torres said. Park brought up a holographic display. It showed the solar system and beyond, dotted with hundreds of locations. Each represented a storage facility, where completed bioregeneration modules waited for delivery. Some were on Luna or Mars, where the Concordat could have found them if they had looked hard enough. But most were in places the Council did not know about. Hidden asteroid bases, deep space stations, facilities that had been built in secret over decades. The galaxy thinks we are still primitive, Harrison said. They think we can barely build a functional spacecraft. They have no idea we have been operating at their level for years. Torres nodded slowly. She understood the strategy. Earth had played weak while growing strong. They had accepted help while learning independence. They had been grateful while preparing for freedom. An alert sounded. Ambassador Webb's face appeared on the main screen. He was transmitting from his shuttle, having just left the council chamber. "It is done," Webb said. "I told them we would deliver. The council did not believe me." Counselor Thex looked ready to celebrate our failure. Webb's expression hardened. "I also saw deployment orders. The Sorix Dominion has 6 battle fleets positioned near our system. They are preparing to occupy Earth the moment we miss the deadline." "They will not get the chance," Torres said. "Operation Prometheus is active. Begin Phase 1 dispersal. Cross-human space, a machine that had taken 43 years to build, began its work. Cargo ships that had been disguised as simple miners revealed their true cargo. Thousands of automated drones launched from hidden bases. Coordinates were locked for 37 worlds across Concordat space in the command center. Torres watched as the first transports entered faster than light travel. Each ship carried thousands of bioregeneration modules. Each ship knew exactly where to go, exactly what to deliver, exactly how to prove that humanity could do the impossible. "Do you think they will understand?" Park asked quietly. "Do you think they will realize what this means?" "They will understand that they were wrong about us," Torres replied. "They will understand that humanity is not weak, not dependent, not controllable." Harrison pulled up another display showing Earth's true capabilities. The factories that should not exist, the technologies that humanity should not possess. The infrastructure that had been built in secret while the galaxy was not paying attention. "For 43 years, we have been preparing for this moment," Torres said to the room. Every scientist who studied their technology, every engineer who built our facilities, every worker who kept our secrets, every leader who planned for our independence. This is not just about paying a debt. This is about showing the galaxy who we really are. She touched a control, and the holographic display shifted. It showed projections of the next 48 hours. Human ships appearing at collection points across the galaxy. Module counts climbing toward the required 10 million. The Concordats' shock and confusion as they realized their assumptions were catastrophically wrong. "They saved us when we were dying," Tora said. "We will never forget that. But they also taught us that depending on others for survival is the same as waiting to die." So we learned. We adapted. We became something new. On the screens, the first delivery was approaching its destination. A Vrelian collection station, expecting nothing, about to receive proof that humanity had changed the rules of the game. 39 hours until deadline, Harrison announced. First delivery in 15 minutes. Torres stood at attention. Around her, 50 officers did the same. They were about to reveal 43 years of secret work to an unsuspecting galaxy. "Make the delivery," Torres ordered. "Show them what humans can do." Station Master Krell had been managing Vrelian Collections Station Sigma 7 for 18 cycles. It was boring work, mostly processing routine shipments from various Concordat species. Nothing interesting ever happened at Sigma-7. Then, his sensors detected the approaching human ship. "Unidentified vessel, this is Sigma 7 Control," Krell transmitted. "You are entering restricted space. Identify yourself immediately." The response came back instantly. "Sigma 7, this is Human Transport Meridian. We are here to deliver bioregeneration modules per Earth's debt repayment agreement. Transmitting manifest now." Krell's three eyes blinked in sequence, the Vrelian expression for complete confusion. "You are delivering what? The human debt is not due for another 29 hours, and you cannot possibly have the modules ready. Manifest shows 143,000 units. Beginning cargo transfer now, for the next 3 hours." Krell watched in growing disbelief as container after container was transferred to his station. Each container was scanned automatically. Each bioregeneration module was verified for quality and functionality. Every single unit was perfect. Not just acceptable, perfect. They matched Vrelian manufacturing standards from the Golden Age, before modern factories had started cutting corners for efficiency. "This is impossible," Krell whispered to his assistant. "Humans should not be able to manufacture even one of these devices. They lack the technology. They lack the understanding. They lack everything necessary," Station Master, his communications officer, called out. "We are receiving reports from other collection stations. Sigma 3 reports human deliveries. Sigma 9 reports human deliveries. Delta 2 reports human deliveries. Human ships are appearing across the entire network." Krell sent an emergency message to Vrelian Command. Then he sent another to Concordat Intelligence. Then he simply stared at his screens, watching as his station filled with technology that should not exist. At the Galactic Council headquarters, alarms were sounding across every department. Intelligence officers were frantically trying to track the human ships. Military analysts were attempting to understand how Earth had developed such capabilities. Diplomatic staff were preparing emergency. Briefings for shocked council members, High Arbiter Velshara convened an emergency session. The council chamber filled with representatives, all demanding explanations that nobody could provide. "Status report," Velshara commanded. "Counselor Myra." The Vrelian representative consulted her data streams. Her appendages were trembling. 7.2 million units have been delivered and verified. The humans are maintaining a delivery rate of 190,000 units per hour. At current pace, they will complete the full 10 million units 14 hours before the deadline. The chamber erupted in confused voices. Multiple languages overlapped as representatives demanded answers. Where are these modules coming from? Counselor Vex shouted above the noise. "We have surveillance on every major human facility. There is no way they could produce this volume. There is no way they even have the factories." "Apparently your surveillance was insufficient," Counselor Ratchin said coldly. The Takari representative looked almost amused. It seems humanity has been keeping secrets. Security Chief Grax stepped forward. His armored body clicked with agitation. Hi, Arbiter. We have analyzed the delivery patterns. The human transport ships are emerging from faster-than-light travel at coordinates that do not match any known human settlements. They are using routes through space we classified as unusable. Furthermore, their ships are demonstrating drive efficiency 37% better than standard Concordat vessels. Silence fell over the chamber. You are saying they have improved our technology? Velshara asked quietly. I am saying they have developed something different. Possibly something better than what we gave them. The implications of that statement rippled through the chamber. For thousands of years, the Concordat species had maintained technological superiority through careful control. They shared some knowledge with younger species, but always kept the advanced technology for themselves. It maintained the natural order. It kept everyone in their place. But if humans had taken the specifications for one device and used them to develop new technologies independently, then the entire system of control was broken. Ambassador Webb entered the chamber. He looked remarkably calm for someone who had just turned the galactic order upside down. Ambassador Webb, Velshara said. Perhaps you can explain what is happening. We are paying our debt, Webb replied simply. Exactly as promised. That is not an explanation, Dex hissed. How did your primitive species suddenly develop manufacturing capabilities that rival our own? What deception have you been practicing? Webb smiled slightly. No deception, counselor. Just hard work. You gave us the specifications for your medical technology. You expected us to study them for decades, to slowly build up our capabilities, to eventually become dependent on your guidance and expertise. But you forgot something important about humans. What did we forget? Velshara asked. That we learn fast when we have to. The Cascade Plague killed 6 billion people in our memory. Every human alive remembers what it felt like to be helpless, to be dying, to be saved only because another species chose to help. We swore we would never be that helpless again. Dr. Amara Okoi joined Webb on the chamber floor. She activated a holographic display that filled the vast space. It showed human expansion over 43 years. Not just the known colonies on Luna and Mars. Dozens of hidden facilities. Asteroid bases. Deep space stations. A network of industrial power that the Concordat had never detected. You gave us one set of specifications, Okoi explained. We studied them completely. We learned not just how to build your modules, but how to build the factories that build them. In the factories that build those factories, we reverse-engineered your entire industrial pyramid. And in the process, Webb continued, we learned how to do it better than you. Faster than you, more efficiently than you, because we had no choice. We had 43 years to prepare for this deadline. And we knew that failure meant losing our independence forever. The holographic display shifted, showing real-time footage from collection stations across Concordat space. Human ships delivering container after container of impossible technology. Security, Chief Grax, stepped closer to examine the data. His eyes widened. Hi, Arbiter. Look at the distribution pattern. The humans are not just delivering to primary collection stations. They are delivering to secondary and tertiary locations. 2 emergency backup sites. 2 places we did not even specify in the debt agreement. We know your systems, Okoi said. We know your supply networks, your distribution chains, your emergency protocols. We have been part of this galaxy for 43 years. We learned. 9 million units, Counselor Mira announced. The count just reached 9 million. Vashera's crystalline form turned a deep, troubled blue. What do you want, Ambassador Webb? This demonstration of power, this revelation of hidden capabilities, what is humanity's goal? Webb met her gaze directly. The same thing every species in this chamber wanted. When they first joined the Concordat? Respect, recognition, the right to stand as equals rather than dependents? You saved us, and we are grateful. But gratitude does not mean submission. We are paying this debt in full so that we owe nothing. So that Earth's future belongs to Earth? And if the Concordat refuses to accept you as equals, Dex demanded. Then we will survive anyway, Webb said quietly. With you or without you. But I think it would be better for everyone if we worked together. Because if we could hide this much capability for 43 years, imagine what else we might be capable of. And imagine how much more useful we are as partners than as unknowns. 10 million units? Myra whispered. The debt is paid, completely, 14 hours ahead of schedule. The chamber was silent. Every council member stared at the two humans standing calmly on the judgment floor, realizing that everything they thought they knew about Earth had been wrong. Admiral Kress of the Tellurian Defense Fleet stood before the emergency council session, her forearms gesturing sharply as she presented her findings. She had spent the last 6 hours analyzing every piece of data about the human deliveries, and what she had discovered troubled her deeply. Arbiter. The security implications are severe, Kress began. The humans delivered 10.4 million modules. That is 400,000 more than required. But the excess was not random. They delivered exactly the right amounts to exactly the right locations to account for our standard distribution losses and emergency reserve protocols. They know our logistics better than some of our own supply officers. She pulled up detailed scans of the human transport vessels. Furthermore, these ships demonstrate faster than light drive efficiency that exceeds our standard models by 37%. This is not technology we provided. They developed it independently, which means they have research programs we never detected. They have been operating entire scientific installations that do not appear in any of our monitoring systems. How is such deception possible? Counselor Rochin demanded. We have surveillance throughout human space. We monitor their transmissions. We track their ship movements. Apparently, Admiral Kress said coldly. We monitor what they want us to monitor. Every sensor reading, every transmission we intercepted, every facility we observed was deliberately chosen to maintain the illusion of human limitations. Meanwhile, their real development was happening elsewhere, in locations we never thought to look. Ambassador Webb had remained in the chamber after the dead announcement. Now he spoke again. Admiral, with respect, we never lied to you. We simply did not advertise everything we were doing. Is that really so different from what every species here does? How many secret research programs exist in this galaxy? How many hidden military facilities? How many classified technologies? The difference, Counselor Thex interjected, is that we are established powers. We have earned the right to maintain strategic secrets. Humanity is barely for decades out of near extinction. You do not have that authority. Who decides that? Webb asked. Who decides which species are allowed to have secrets, and which must remain completely transparent? Is it based on age? On technology? On how well you can be controlled? Velshara's crystalline form flickered through agitated colors. Ambassador, please understand our position. For thousands of years, the Concordat has maintained order in this galaxy. That order depends on understanding the capabilities of all member species. When a species develops in unexpected ways, it creates instability. Dr. Okoye activated a new display. It showed comparative technological development curves for multiple species. Most showed gradual, steady advancement over centuries. The human curve was nearly vertical. Its rate of advancement is unprecedented, Counselor Mira said quietly. Even the most innovative species in Concordat history did not progress this rapidly. The most innovative species in your history, Okoye replied, were not racing against a debt that could cost them their world. Necessity drives innovation, counselors. When humans faced extinction from the plague, we learned how fragile our existence was. When you gave us this debt with an impossible deadline, we learned that survival required capabilities we did not have. So we developed them. She expanded the display to show not just the bioregeneration modules, but the entire manufacturing infrastructure humanity had built. You gave us specifications for a Class 7 device? So we built Class 6 factories to make it. Then we built Class 5 facilities to supply those factories. Then Class 4 resource processors. Then Class 3 extraction systems. We did not just learn to make your modules. We built an entire industrial civilization from the top down. And in the process, Webb added, we learned to make everything else in that pyramid. Often better than you do, because we had to figure it out from scratch instead of inheriting methods from ancestors who never needed to innovate. The chamber was silent as the implications sank in. Humanity had not just paid a debt. They had demonstrated technological capability that threatened the Concordat's entire power structure. But there is something else you need to understand, Webb said, his tone shifting to something more serious. We did not just learn technology. We learned politics. For 43 years, we have been the junior species in the Concordat, attending your councils, participating in your trade meetings, listening to your diplomatic discussions, and everywhere we went, we learned, he gestured around the chamber. We know which species hold real power and which are symbolic. We know your trade dependencies, your resource needs, your political alliances. We know which technologies you guard most closely and which you share freely. We know your strengths. We know your weaknesses. It sounds remarkably like intelligence gathering, Admiral Kress said. Like espionage. It sounds like survival, Webb corrected. Every species in this chamber monitors every other species. You have entire departments dedicated to understanding your allies and potential threats. We did the same thing. We just had to be more thorough, because we started from nothing. Okoye brought up a final display. It showed humanity's network of relationships across the Concordat. Trade agreements with 67 species, consulting contracts with 49 worlds, participation in 17 major infrastructure projects. The web of connections was far more extensive than anyone had realized. Over the past 40 years, Okoye explained, humans have been building more than factories and ships. We have been building relationships, trust, mutual benefit. We have made ourselves useful to dozens of species, not through manipulation, but through genuine partnership. Because we understand that real power in this galaxy comes from being necessary, not from being strong. Which you have become, Velshara observed. You have made yourselves indispensable to a significant portion of the Concordat's economy and infrastructure. We tried to, Webb acknowledged, because the alternative was being disposable. And we learned during the plague that being disposable is fatal. Counselor Thek stood abruptly, his scales flushing dark with anger. This is intolerable. High Arbiter, humanity has admitted to decades of concealment. They have developed unregistered technologies. They have gathered intelligence on every Concordat species. They have inserted themselves into our economic systems deliberately. This violates the spirit of every treaty they've signed. We must act. Sanctions, embargoes, mandatory. Inspections of every human facility until we understand their true capabilities. Under what law? Counselor Arachan asked. They broke no regulations. The debt terms said nothing about manufacturing transparency. They are free to trade with any willing partner. And intelligence gathering is universal. You cannot punish humans for doing what every species here does. But they did it secretly, Thex insisted. With obvious intent to deceive the Concordat. We did it quietly, Webb corrected. There is a difference. We answered every question you asked. We fulfilled every obligation in our treaties. We simply did not volunteer information you did not request. Is that deception? Or is that prudence? The chamber lights flickered suddenly. Security alerts sounded across multiple consoles. Admiral Kress checked her readings, and her expression shifted to alarm. High Arbiter, she said urgently. We are detecting massive energy signatures throughout Concordat space. Multiple locations, all activating simultaneously. The main display changed, showing star maps across the galaxy. Dozens of points were lighting up. Space stations, deep space installations, asteroid facilities. All human, all previously unknown. What is this? Velshara demanded. Webb's expression remained calm. This is the rest of the answer. You asked what humanity has been building. The manufacturing infrastructure was what we needed you to see. But we also built defense installations, research stations, strategic outposts, all capable of independent operation. all positioned throughout space you thought you controlled completely. You have militarized, Vex breathed. You have been preparing for war. You've been preparing to defend ourselves, Webb said firmly. There is a difference. These installations are defensive, but they are substantial, and they are ours. Earth's sovereign territory established over 4 decades of careful expansion. This is an act of aggression, Nex hissed. This is an act of independence, Webb replied. We are not threatening anyone. We are not demanding anything. But we want it understood clearly. Earth is no longer a protectorate. We are a sovereign power. One that has proven we can pay our debts, protect our interests, and stand without support. If that troubles the Concordat, perhaps you should have considered it before giving a nearly extinct species detailed technology and 43 years to learn from it. 3 days after humanity paid its debt in full, Ambassador Webb met privately with High Arbiter Velshara in a neutral chamber. No other council members. No recording devices. Just 2 representatives speaking honestly for the first time. You planned this from the beginning, Velshara said. Her crystalline form glowed a contemplative blue. From the moment the Vrelians offered to save your world, you were already thinking decades ahead. Not quite, Webb admitted. When the plague was killing us, we were not thinking about politics. We were thinking about survival. But after we were saved, after we understood the debt and its implications, yes, we started planning. You deceived us. The grateful, humble humans were an act. The gratitude was genuine, Webb said firmly. It still is. Every human alive owes their life to Vrelian technology and Concordat generosity. But being grateful and being smart are not mutually exclusive. We honored the debt and prepared for independence simultaneously. Velshara's colors shifted through patterns of deep thought. The other council members are frightened. Councillor Vex wants sanctions. Admiral Kress wants inspections. Several species are calling for Earth to be classified as a potential threat to Concordat stability. And what do you think, High Arbiter? I think humanity taught us a lesson we needed. We have dominated this galaxy so long that we forgot what real challenge looks like. We became comfortable, assured of our superiority. Then a species we thought we understood spent 43 years proving our assumptions catastrophically wrong. But I also think you are not telling us everything. You revealed your manufacturing power, your military installations, your intelligence network. Very impressive. But that is not what truly concerns me. What does concern you? Why you revealed everything now? The debt is paid. You could have shown your capabilities gradually. Instead, you forced every species in the Concordat to reassess everything they knew about humanity in a matter of hours. Why? Webb was silent for a long moment. Then, he withdrew a data tablet. Because something is coming, High Arbiter. Something the Concordat either cannot see or is choosing to ignore. He displayed long-range sensor data, energy signatures from deep space, movement patterns suggesting massive organization. For 11 years, we have been detecting anomalies from the outer reaches. We sent this data to Concordat Intelligence 3 times. Each time it was dismissed as sensor errors or natural phenomena. The outer reaches have always been chaotic, Velshara said. Pirates, refugees, minor factions. Nothing that threatens Concordat space. This is not random activity. This is coordination suggesting a major power is organizing out there. In our projections, they will reach Concordat borders within 7 to 15 cycles. Velshara studied the data. Her form flickered with concerned colors. Why did you not present this to the full council? We tried. 3 times. Each time we were told we were overreacting, that we were a young species seeing threats everywhere. So we stopped trying to convince you. We started preparing to survive the threat ourselves. That is what this was really about, Velshara said, understanding. The factories, the installations, the improved technology. You were not preparing to threaten the Concordat. You were preparing for what comes next. Yes, and we learned something important. The Concordat is powerful but slow. You make decisions by consensus across 93 species. You are bound by traditions thousands of years old. When threats emerge, you form committees and working groups. Sometimes that is appropriate, but sometimes you need to act immediately, even if it means breaking rules, Velshara finished. We paid our debt early, not just to prove capability, but because we needed our resources free. We revealed our power not to threaten you, but to prove we are strong enough to be taken seriously when we say, something dangerous is coming, and the galaxy must prepare. He showed additional data, battle simulations, threat assessments, strategic analysis. We have studied this potential threat for over a decade. In most scenarios, a slow-responding concordat that underestimates the danger suffers heavy losses. But a prepared, coordinated concordat has a chance. You are asking us to trust your analysis, your judgment. That is difficult when we just learned how much you have hidden. I am asking you to verify the data yourself. Send your own ships. Do your own analysis. But do it quickly. Because whether the concordat acknowledges this threat or not, Earth will be ready. And I prefer we face it together. Velshara was quiet for several minutes. If you are correct, if something that dangerous is organizing in the outer reaches, then your actions over 43 years were not deceptive. They were prescient. You prepared for a war we did not know was coming. We prepared to survive, Webb corrected. War is just one possibility. But the plague taught us that waiting for threats to arrive before responding is how species die. We would rather be ready for nothing than unprepared for something. Very human thinking. Always expecting the worst. Always hoping for the best, but planning for the worst. The concordat saved us. We will never forget that. But we also verify that we can save ourselves if necessary. And maybe we can help save others too. Velshara's form shifted to contemplative purple. I must present this to the full council. They need to see this data, understand the real reason for your preparations. Or they might decide we are paranoid, Webb said. A young species imagining threats, perhaps. But I have been High Arbiter for 73 cycles. I have seen species rise and fall. Sometimes the youngest voices see what the oldest eyes miss. She paused at the chamber exit. Okay. Ambassador Webb, what do humans call this potential threat? Webb's expression grew grim. We call it the convergence. Long-range sensors showed thousands of signals converging on single locations. Building something. Organizing something. In 11 cycles or less, they will be ready to move. The only question is whether the galaxy will be ready to meet them. 1 week later, the Galactic Concordat held its largest assembly in 3 centuries. Every member species sent representatives. Every intelligence service contributed data. At the center was humanity's evidence of the convergence threat. The debate lasted for days. Some believed the data. Others thought it was manipulation. But enough accepted that the threat was real enough to investigate properly. The resolution was historic. The Concordat would establish a joint defense initiative, combining resources. From willing members to prepare for potential threats from the outer reaches, Earth would contribute its installations and manufacturing capabilities. In return, humanity would receive full council membership with complete voting rights. Ambassador Webb stood on the judgment floor, but this time it was not for debt. It was for recognition. High Arbiter Velshara spoke for the entire Concordat. Humanity came to us dying, we saved them. They owed us a debt, and that debt has been satisfied. But in paying it, humanity reminded us of something we forgot. That necessity breeds innovation. That gratitude and sovereignty can coexist. That sometimes the youngest among us see most clearly. She gestured to Webb. Earth is hereby recognized as a full sovereign member of the Galactic Concordat, with all rights and responsibilities. Not because you paid a debt, but because you proved capable of protecting not just yourselves, but potentially all of us. As the chamber responded with mixed reactions of applause and concern, Webb allowed himself a small smile. Humanity had spent 43 years repaying a debt. But in the process, they had invested in something more valuable than gratitude. They had invested in capability, independence, the kind of strength that meant Earth would never again be helpless. And if the convergence came, if the threat proved real, the galaxy would face it together. with humanity no longer as the species that needed saving, but as the species that had learned to save itself and was willing to help save others. Commander, Rachel Torres watched from Earth's command center as the Joint Defense Initiative officially launched. Concordat ships and human vessels began coordinated patrols. Intelligence flowed through new, secure channels. Defense plans were drafted by species working as equals. 43 years, Colonel Harrison said quietly, and we are finally standing on our own. Not on our own, Torres corrected. With them as equals. That was always the goal. On the screens, long-range sensors continued monitoring the outer reaches. The signals that might be the convergence had not changed. The potential threat remained. But now the galaxy was watching. Now they were preparing. And if the worst came, humanity would face it not as desperate survivors begging for help, but as sovereign equals who had earned their place through preparation and determination. The debt was paid. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Humanity had proven something that would echo through the Concordat for generations. Give humans a problem, a deadline, and detailed specifications, and they will not just solve it. They will master it and use. It too transformed themselves into something nobody expected. The galaxy had saved humanity once. Now humanity was ready to return the favor. Read Triclod can make mistakes. Please double-check responses.